Hey guys, OJ Albina here, bringing you guys our IBL Season 7 draft analysis. Yes, we are back in the IBL. We played in the IBL in Season 6. We had a really good run. I had an awesome team. I had a lot of fun, actually, in IBL Season 6. I had Mew, Kamo, Mega Scizor was the main core on that team, and it was so much fun to play with. It's where I developed my love for Archeops as well, one of my favorite mons to use in the lower tiers and stuff like that as well. So I have a lot of good memories of the IBL. I originally was not going to play in this season. I just didn't have the time originally, but with the good old COVID-19 hitting and me being stuck inside for the next like month and being stuck inside the month prior to this, I have a lot more time than I thought I did. And I remember hearing Brendan on Discord saying he needed a replacement for a coach that just kind of went a little bit MIA. And I said, hey, why not? Might as well jump back in, get a little bit more Wi-Fi experience, and why not grab a casual league on the side, just have some fun and stuff like that. But yeah, we're back here for the IBO. We did not draft this team. We made these are going to be my transactions that are in effect immediately. Shout out to my week one opponent neighbors for allowing me to use my week one transactions because no shade to the person who drafted this as well. The team wasn't very good. It definitely wasn't to my liking, and it was stall. But in my opinion, again, no shade. In my opinion, very poorly constructed stall. And one, I'm not a stall player. I don't play well with fat whatsoever. I don't play well with passive fat. And two, it just wasn't well constructed. So I was told I have 8 transactions to try and fix things up as much as possible. They went into effect week 1, which is awesome. I haven't played that yet, but I have the team built and I'm ready to go. I play that in a couple days here from recording this. But the team's still not optimal. It's still really not optimal. So I'm kind of using this as like a testing experience to try out a new different playstyle and to try and see if I can pull out some wins in a pretty cool league with a team that might not be very good, in all honesty. So we tried our best to fix this one. I can guarantee you it's a little bit better than it was before. Not the greatest team, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I like it's a bit gimmicky, but I like the gimmicks that it does offer. But yeah, that being said, we might as well jump into it. So obviously I didn't pick this, so I can't go over the rounds in which I picked them or anything like that, or the synergy I had in mind in round 2 going into round 6 and blah blah blah. But I can kind of talk about the mons individually. Our tier 1 Pokemon first is going to be Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is a phenomenal Pokemon. Incredibly bulky, decently strong. It's not one of those fat mons that's super passive. Still rocking out with 94 base attack, but then its bulk is insane. 74 HP, but that 131 defense and 116 speed def is ridiculous. It gets access to spikes and Stealth Rock, which is obviously super clutch for us. Leech Seed for some passive recovery and things like that. This Pokemon's incredibly annoying to kill. It's an incredibly good just blanket wall. Or blanket sponge check to so much of the game. Gyro's going to hit like a truck just because you have that base 20 speed. You're going to see low speed is going to be a theme on this team, but that's kind of for a reason. It's not, on accident or anything like that. But this Pokemon's just really good. It's really annoying. Curses is definitely a viable option as well. I believe Ferrothorn gets SD too. I could be tripping, but I know it gets Curse because I've run Curse Pharaoh many times. It's a Pokemon I'm really comfortable in using. It's one of the few really bulky mons that I'm really like, hey, I know how to use this thing, and I'm down with using it. So that's going to be Pharaoh. Really excited to use this thing. It's really splashable in a lot of matchups here. Next up, we have Lucario. Lucario is a pretty cool tier 2 Pokemon. I've used it before and I actually had a lot of success with it. I really did enjoy it. It was recently. It does suffer in the speed tier category, but it's so strong. It has access to set up on both sides in Nasty Plot and Source. And I think in Bulk Up, it has lots of priority in Vacuum Wave, E-Speed, Bullet Punch, all that stuff. And the base 90 speed tier isn't the worst thing in the world in Gen 8 when things are just generally slower as a whole. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I do like Lucario. I kind of picked it up on this team in particular because I really needed another strong wall breaker. And I needed a strong wall breaker outside of Trick Room, which you're going to see this team is incredibly Trick Room oriented. So this is actually one of our faster mons, which is ridiculous. We do have something, at that 110 speed tier. But other than that, I think we jumped from 90 to 110, which is a little bit scary. But I think we should be okay, in all honesty. I think we should be okay if we play and position ourselves correctly. So that's going to be Lucario. It's here to potentially clean up some games with some priority. It's here to break and do a lot of damage. Next up, we have Aromatisse. Aromatisse is a great tier 3 fairy. I absolutely love this thing. It did take a big hit not having hidden powers because it's one of the few fairies that they just said, nope, sorry, you do not get Mystical Fire. So we can't really touch steel types at all. But the main reason I really like Aromatisse is one, because of the wish support for a lot of the bulkier things in our team, like the Ferrothorns of the world and things like that. And two is its access to Trick Room and its access to Where is the ability? Right here, Aroma Veil, and I really do like that. Not being able, having a Trick Room that cannot be taunted is really nice. It gives access to Nasty Plot and Calm Mind and Thunderbolt and Energy Ball. So decent coverage if we can catch like a Corviknight with like a Nasty Plot Trick Room set with a Thunderbolt. That could obviously be super, super cool for us. But Aromatisse is mainly here to set up Trick Room, to pass off wishes, maybe heal Blossom, burns and poisons and stuff like that. It's here to support the team, and I think it'll do that really, really well this season. I really do like the Trick Room aspect that it has from us. The main thing with this team is one of the few things I really do like is how reliable our Trick Room setters are, because we're going for more of a Trick Room balanced offense. I mean, like a more balanced like / Trick Room build, which is obviously clean. Next up, we have our Kofagrigus. So this is another Trick Room setter. This is a T-Spike setter. This Pokemon is incredibly bulky Fizz Def-wise as well, gives us a good fighting type check outside of Aromatisse, which takes a little bit of pressure off of that thing, which is super, super clean. Will-O-Wisp Memento, like I said, Trick Room, it gets access to Calm Mind and Nasty Plot and stuff like that, which is obviously super, super clean. It got Body Press this gym, which is awesome for its super beefy defense stat. I really like Kofag. I've drafted it many times. It's really, really solid as a Trick Room setter. It's really solid just as a bulky fighting type, or just a bulky physical offense pivot. In all honesty, I really do enjoy this Pokemon, and I think it's gonna help out a lot, especially with that Trick Room plus Memento support. There's a couple Pokemon on our team that really do appreciate that, so I think that's super clean for us. I want to mention, I've worked on a couple of the custom sprites for this team. I haven't done all of them. You'll see them in this video, the ones that I've like completed and finished and I'm happy with. But eventually these will all have their own custom sprites and stuff like that, so that they can look nice and cool in the thumbnails and stuff like that as well. So that's going to be Kofag though. It's here to set up Trick Room. It's here to Memento, check some physical offense, things like that. And yeah. Next up, we have our Raichu. Raichu is our fastest mon on our team, which is a bit scary. I don't like not having anything faster than 110, but I think it'll suffice in Gen 7, Gen 8, where things are just slower as a whole. And this at least gives you something at that 110, so that 110 base 110 mons aren't running like modest a crazy amount of bulk because our next closest mon is Lucario or something like that. Like, I think that's really important to have. It gives us an electric type. It gives us an electric immunity because we do not have a ground type up to this point. I will let you know our ground type is a bit subpar, so having this as an electric immunity as well is nice to, stop teams from clicking Brainless Volt Switch versus us and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty solid for us. Raichu gets access to Nasty Plot. It gets access to Volt Switch for momentum. It's an electric type that can hit grounds with Grass Knot and Surf, which I think is very, very important. I refuse to draft an electric type that cannot hit ground types this gen without the access to hidden power and stuff like that. So I think Raichu really does fit the team in the fact that it gives us that 110 speed tier, it gives us the electric immunity, and it gives us some special offense, which we kind of do lack later on, as you'll see, and stuff like that. So I do like Raichu. I think it's good with a Nasty Plot. It's good with Specs, Life Orb, Scarfer. It's a really good Scarfer, actually. So really excited to use Raichu again this season. Next up, we have our Turtonator. Now, we needed the Dragon and we needed the Fire, and this thing covers both of that on our team. It also gives us access to Rapid Spin, which I think is really cool. This thing finally got it. I don't know why it didn't last gen, but it does this time. Also access to Shell Smash, which I don't know how often I'll bring it. I know people often draft Turtonator because they're like, wow, Shell Smash is a thing. It has base 35 speed, so it's still being outsped by a lot once you get up to +2. But it's still a cool option unless in some niche matchups. So for facing a team as slow as ours, I'll probably bring Shell Smash if it matches up well against the Fatter on their team or something like that. But being that it is base 35 speed, it has that access to Shell Smash, but it also has access to be a really scary Trick Room on. Like, a Turtonator under Trick Room with a Life Orb is really scary, man. That's not something you can easily switch into. Fire Blast plus Draco Meteor hits so much neutrally or super effectively. It's pretty nuts. I think Turtonator is going to be really, really solid this season, despite being a tier 5 mon, and despite taking up like a really important role in our team and being a tier 5 mon. I think it'll do it pretty well, in all honesty. Next up, we have our Snorlax, the first of the custom sprites that we've done. Incredibly simple. It's literally just black instead of blue, because I thought it was nice and simple. But this is going to be our Gigantamax mon. Now, I haven't mentioned it yet. IBL is doing Gigantamax mons, unfortunately. But unlike APA, there is no restrictions on them. So Snorlax is a phenomenal Gigantamax captain. If you didn't know, it's max move, G-Max replenish, so body slam in this set. I just grabbed random sets and pasted them on here for this video. If you guys haven't, been able to tell, I'm not breaking these next week or anything. But as you can see, the G-Max replenish actually works as a recycle, which is super clutch for curse sets while we are Dynamaxed up and stuff like that, which is really clean. And just being able to hold an item is really, really nice for us. We can rock out with an AV. We can rock out with a bunch of different items while Snorlax is Gmax. And this thing will get so ridiculously bulky when it is Dynamaxed up. Like, I know we're going to be playing at level 50, but look at a level 100. If we doubled that HP stat, we'd be sitting at 1,048 HP, which is ridiculous. Having him on hitting over 1,000. I mean, this is like max HP, which you're never running on Snorlax. You're going to optimize a little bit better in the defense and Spadef categories, but still, like, having the option to hit above 1,000 HP is ridiculous. So this thing is never dying in one hit. It's going to be absolutely obnoxious. This is one of the few Pokemon that I think is phenomenal on this team, and I'm really excited to use this thing. I think it's going to be an absolute pain for our opponents to deal with. I'm really excited to use this thing, though. I think it'll be super, super clean. Another option with the Gmax Replacement, I think it's if we're like a Resto Chesto set. We rest up, we eat our Chesto Berry, then we Gmax, we throw off a Gmax Replacement, we get our Chesto Berry back, and then we can rest up again later and get back up and wake up. So I think that's really clean on Snorlax. I really love using Lax. It's one of my favorite monsters to use. I've used it in ABA Classic last season. I really enjoyed it there. Not just from, like, you know, your standard Curse Lax generic set. I brought Band once. I brought Belly Drum week 1. I bought AV a bunch of times. I brought Fizdef a couple of times with, like, Whirlwind and Toxic and, you know, things like that. So I really do love Lax, and I think this mon's going to be really annoying for our opponents to take on. Next up, we have Gothitelle. Now, this is where the team starts getting really bulky and annoying. Now, if you don't know what Gothitelle does, Gothitelle has access to Shadow Tag, so Gothitelle is here to trap Pokemon and open up holes in our opponent's defensive cores to open up the rest of our team. We can also just win with Gothitelle itself. Like, for example, I took this really, really, really annoying set as an option. This is a Trick Gothitelle with a Choice Scarf, so we can trick it onto something that we can, you know, sufficiently set up a bunch of Cosmic Powers, rest off the damage, trick back our Choice Scarf, and then click Stored Power until the end of the game, which I think is really crazy. This thing getting access to Stored Power is really nice for it, honestly. It got access to Nasty Plot too, so offensive Goth is definitely a thing as well. Scarf Goth with just coverage move is also really, really good. But Goth is really good at, one, forcing a lot of prep, to where our opponents have to run Shed Shells and things like that. They have to run a lot of momentum and things like that, which can obviously open up the rest of our team if they're forced into a Shed Shell opposed to, you know, some kind of barrier. They might not be able to run the lefties they want, or the Life Orb that they want, or something like that. It's also super clean. And it also just, you know, can potentially open up some Pokemon in the end game. Like, I really do love Goth plus Lax. I think Goth plus Lax is pretty gross, just because of the fact that we can trap a lot of fighting types. We make fighting types a little bit harder to bring versus us, because if we trap those, Lax is going to be really hard to break. Same thing with another one that we're going to talk about, I think, next. Really does appreciate fighting types being gone, so we can spam knockoff till the ends of time. This is another Trick Room setter as well, so another really, really reliable Trick Room setter, which I think is super important on this team when our speed is very slow and we're relying on a lot of slower breakers and slower win cons and stuff like that to win the game. So I really do love Goth. I haven't used it yet myself, but I've helped people build with it. I've built for it at Mox. I've played against it, and I hate playing against Goth, so I think it's going to have a similar effect here in the IBL this season. Next up, we have our next custom sprite. I love this one. I think this one is so sick. We have Eugene the Crawdon. You know I love my crabs. If you saw our GDL run, you'll see our 24-3 Kingler as of semis. I haven't played finals yet, but yeah, this thing's pretty... oh, man. Now I gotta upload this after semis. I was gonna upload this today. I guess I'll upload the semis video today, and I'll upload this tomorrow. Shoot! Regardless, I think Kingler is I think Crawdon is an absolute beast. Even scarier than Kingler, no less. This thing is ridiculous with the adaptability. It stabs your nuts. It got access to close combat this gen, which is terrifying. And under Trick Room, this mon is a monster. And like I said, if we can eliminate a lot of those fighting types, we eliminate one of the things that can, really take on Crawdon super, super well. It gets access to Sword Dance. It gets access to Dragon Dance for slower teams. Aqua Jet for priority. And like I said, this thing, most of the time, though, I'm going to bring Banded, I'm going to bring Life Orb, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to click Liquidation or Knock Off under Trick Room, and I am going to get a Pokemon from you. You are going to give me a Pokemon when this thing comes in for free. That's just what Crawdon does, and I'm really excited to use it and just punch giant holes through teams so that we can clean up later with, potentially Lucario or something like that. So really excited to use Crawdon this season. I think this thing's going to be an absolute menace for our opponents to take on. Next up, we have Claydol, another one of our custom sprites, and I like this one too. Oh no, that's the next Pokemon, but don't look. I really like this Claydol sprite. I think it's super clean. But Claydol gives us a ground type. It gives us dual psychic, but it gives us a rocker. It gives us that other electric immunity that I was talking about earlier. Not the best one in the world, but it is an electric immunity nonetheless. And I don't want people to volt switch for free on me every single time. It gives us a rocker. It gives us another Trick Room setter, and it gets Trick Room plus teleport, which is what really drew me towards Claydol. Now, if you don't know what teleport does this gen, it actually got buffed in Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu of all games, and it actually works as a negative priority, like momentum move, like a baton pass, but not being able to pass stats kind of thing, I guess. But it's negative priority, so setting up Trick Room and then getting a free teleport out into Crawdon or something like that, and then just punching something in the face is super ideal. Like, that's amazing. I'm really excited for that aspect of this team. I think that's going to be really, really clean. I think Claydol's going to come a lot more on this team than you would see it on John Jr., aka his namesake, his APA team. I think this thing's going to come a lot, unfortunately. It gives us another Rapid Spin Mon. Like I said, it gives us rocks. It gets access to Nasty Plot and Rock Polish and things like that, so we can even boost up ourselves. Oop, oop. I like how they're like opposite in the set natures and stuff like that, but yeah, I think Claydol is going to be really, really solid, just in the sense that it gets that Trick Room plus teleport, gives us an electric immunity, and it gives us a rocker, which is obviously clean. And then for the last mon, we had to get some Goon's representation in, so we got our boy Phil the Cramorant. Now, I'm actually pretty excited to use this thing. I think it's pretty solid as a tier 5. Gold Missile is a really annoying ability, in all honesty. It's really, really annoying being able to, get that residual chip. That's why I have like a Rocky helmet. It gets access to Endure as well, which can be really annoying with the stupid fish, which activates when we use Surf and things like that, obviously, which is super clean. Its dual stabs are actually really solid. Taking on those grass types, I want to switch into the water moves and things like that, which is obviously super, super clutch. I really do like Phil. He's absolutely just 100% a goon, and I'm really excited to use him. Even if he doesn't come too often, he'll be with us in every game in spirit, so I'm really excited to use him in that sense. And yeah, that's going to be our IBL Season 7 team. Like I said, not the most polished team in the world, not, my typical play style of, volt turn offense and strong breakers and things like that. It's a really hardcore balance build with a couple Trick Room, with a Trick Room breaker, a regular breaker, and then, Lax to potentially, be really, really annoying. But Goth, Pharaoh, Snorlax, Aromatisse, like this team, if we really wanted to, could be absolutely awful to break. So we're gonna have to adjust and try and learn a new playstyle, in all honesty. But I think if we can do that, we can have a really successful season and have a fun one. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it. And yeah, like I said, stick around. Should be a fun season, being able to experiment with a new playstyle, and hopefully we can make our way back to playoffs and not choke in round 1 like we did last season versus Clutch. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.